Hey, how's it going? Josh here from Tech with Josh, and this is episode 31 of Tech with Josh, titled Everything Apple Releases This Week. Apple held an event last week for the first week of March about the new spring devices. The first device I want to touch on is the iPhone 17e. What is the E lineup of the iPhones? Well, it's the economical version. It's less pricey. The phone starts off at $599 for a 256 gig. Do I recommend the phone? Yes and no. If you're someone that loves the cameras on your phone, that's always on your phone, I wouldn't recommend this for you because, first of all, it only has one camera. Second of all, it's a 60 hertz screen, so it's not pro motion as Apple calls it, so it won't be as smooth as the newer phones. It's an okay phone. It's mainly meant for like the younger generation. So if you're a parent, you have a kid, and you want to get them a new iPhone that's going to be supported for years on, and you want to get them this phone because it doesn't break the bank much. Like I said, $599. It's an entry level iPhone. Or if you're someone who's not a big techie, this phone is great for older generation, I would say. So it's a low entry point. It still receives software updates for probably 5 to 10 years, knowing Apple. So it's a decent phone. It's just not as great as the regular 17s because it doesn't have the same type of screen, doesn't have the ultra wideband, things like that. It uses the Apple C1X modem. So it's a budget friendly iPhone. But for $599, you can't go wrong. Let's talk about what they announced for their computers. The M5 lineup was announced at the end of 2025 with the M5 MacBook Pro, the non-Pro version. But here's the thing, they're no longer offering that model anymore. So let's start with the Air lineup. The Air is a MacBook Air. Same design, nothing's changed. This generation is just a process upgrade for the most part, and also storage upgrade because prices have gone up. So the MacBook Air comes in, instead of the normal pricing under 1,000, usually $999. Well, now it starts at $1099 for the 13-inch and $1299 for the 15-inch. What are you getting for this? You're getting 512 storage in your device rather than the normal 16 gig. Than the normal 256 gig, and you're getting 16 gig of RAM. That became standard with the M3. So because of the ongoing RAM and memory crisis, Apple's raised prices because of this, but they're giving you more storage. So it's actually not that bad. And the good thing about the Air, like I said, it's still the same design, still the great battery life. It's a fanless design. And it comes with the charger inside unless you're in the UK. So if you're in the UK or EU area, you won't have a charger built into the box inside. But same liquid retina 60 hertz screen on the MacBook Air. And same Thunderbolt ports. Nothing else fancy here. Like I said, 18 hours battery. Up to 2 external displays. Nets. Let's talk about the pros. You're still getting the M5 Pro, M5 Max. There's no Ultra for the laptops. So it's the M5 Pro Max, 14 and 16-inch models. And the price starting now for the 14-inch is $21.99 with 1 terabyte of internal storage and 24 gigs of unified memory. The 16-inch is $26.99 for 1 terabyte and 24 gigs of memory. Here's the thing though. These new M5 Pros and M5 Maxes have stronger GPUs for ray tracing and also for AI. These processors were made for AI. I'm not talking about Apple Intelligence, I'm talking about local language models. So if you're running a LLM on your device, it will be noticeably quicker than the M4 series. There are benchmarks coming out of some creators who have them. I won't be releasing any benchmarks, anything like that, because honestly, I was gonna look into getting the M5 Pro, but Apple reduced the trade-in value of my M4 Pro, so I wasn't doing it. But $26.99 for this machine is not bad, especially once you look at the Geekbench, the Cinebench, also the Blender, and watch it work in Olama, the M5 Mats. I just watched the benchmark today about it and how many tokens it can generate compared to the M4 Mats, and it's actually much quicker. So, like I said, price increase there, but I feel like for the Pro versions, it's justified with what you're getting if you use AI in your workflow or running an LLM for other things. So, the thing that stole the show, in my opinion, is the MacBook Neo. What is the MacBook Neo? It is a budget-friendly MacBook. Not MacBook Air, not MacBook Pro. It's a Neo. There used to be a line called MacBook. They revitalized it back in 2015 for 1 year with a 12-inch. But the MacBook was the entry level before the Air was a thing. It was a cheaper alternative. It used to come in a plastic shell rather than the metal from the MacBook Pro. And they didn't have all the ports or the bells and whistles. So that's what the Neo is here. The Neo comes in at a jaw-dropping $599. I know what you're thinking. Josh, $599 is a lot of money. Yes and no. Not for a laptop of this caliber. Because if you go to Best Buy, you go to Amazon, and you look at what you get for $599, you're getting some Chromebook or some i3 or Celeron processor or Ryzen 3 CPU with barely any memory and about 8 gigs RAM. The Neo does come with 8 gigs of unified memory and 256 for that $599 price point. But here's the thing. Mac OS is different from Windows because on Windows, 8 gigs will be sluggish. Trust me on that. On Mac OS, Apple is generating the computers. They're creating them. They're creating the platform. So they're making sure it's going to work throughout the platform. Hey, here's the thing. Apple creates a product, they're going to support it. Look at the 2020 M1 Air. Still supported in 2026. So let's just say you get 6 years of software support. So that means until 2032, you have software support for this Neo, which means Apple has to gear macOS to work flawless on 8 gigs of RAM. You're not going to render 4K videos as fast as a MacBook Pro. No, that's not what it's geared for. But let me tell you what you're getting in this. You're getting last year's Apple Silicon. So you're not getting the same processor as the 17 Pro. You're getting the previous, the 819 Pro chip inside it. So it is still fast. The iPhone 16 Pro was still a strong phone. You're just getting it in a desktop or a laptop technically. And you're not getting a notch like the MacBook Pro. You're going to have thicker bezels. The speakers are no longer by the screen or on the side like on the MacBook Pro, by the keyboard. No, it's towards the front in these little grills. It's a cheap design, but it's $599. You're not getting MagSafe, which some love, some hate. You're not getting a HDMI port. You're not getting an SD card reader. You're getting 2 USB-C ports. They're not Thunderbolt like on the Air or the Pros. It's just USB-C. And the different speeds is the only caveat I don't like. Because of the processor, the top port is limited to USB 3.0 speeds. So not USB 3.1, USB 3.2, USB 4. USB 3, which is good enough for the type of people who are using this, because if you're going to be a creative and you need access to fast external storage, you're not going to get this. You'll get a MacBook Air at the lowest end. And the bottom port, the second port, the port that's closest to you, is going to be USB 2 speeds. So that's essentially if you want to plug in a dongle for like a wireless mouse and keyboard, you plug it in there, or you're charging, honestly. If you're using a dock or a hub, use the top port. Also, the trackpad is not a force touch trackpad. So all the trackpads since 2015 have been force touch trackpads, which means it's not a real button. It just simulates it. Whereas the Neo because of the price point, has a traditional trackpad that actually has to move up and down. So you might not be able to customize as much, but like I said, it's $599. You're getting the same weight as the MacBook Air, even though you have a smaller battery in there. You still get about 14 hours on it. Another thing is, there's no Touch ID on the $599 model. Touch ID is your fingerprint power button. It's not on here. You have to pay $100 more for that. So for $699, you get the fingerprint sensor, which is the Touch ID, and you also get 512 gigs of internal storage. You can't upgrade the memory from 8 gigs because of the processor. That's the caveat. But I mentioned that's the caveat, but here's something that's even better. Why I said that this is geared more for students and things like that is because if you get an education discount, you can get this MacBook Neo for $499. That's $500 for a fully functioning MacBook. And guess what? You could still render videos on there, 4K videos. It's just going to take you longer. You could still use Logic Pro. All the software that runs on other Macs can run on here. It just won't be as fast. Think about it. The iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max, they could shoot 4K in log and edit on the phone with that processor. So you can do it there. It just won't be as fast as the other machines because A, there's no fan, and B, there's not that much RAM. Next, let's talk about iPad Air. It has an M4 now. Will you notice the difference? Not really. But 11-inch starts at $599, 13-inch $799. Plan, like I said, I didn't care for that. But Apple shocked everybody because they refreshed the Studio Display. What's the Studio Display? It's the monitor. So the budget one, which is just a regular Studio Display, is $1599, $1599. That's a lot of money for a 5K display, 27 inches with Thunderbolt 5 on the back. That's the main thing that they update, the Thunderbolt 5 in there. And if you want to add nano texture, $300. That's so that you don't get that much glare from lights, depending on how you have lighting. Or if you want an adjustable stand, it's $400 because the stand that comes with it, you set it and that's it. Can't go up or down. The one that everybody is liking, that stole the Studio Display's whole keynote from that, not really keynote, the little press release, was the XDR. So Apple had the Pro display that they just discontinued, which was a 32-inch 6K display, and it was $6,000, and it was 60 hertz. Color accuracy was great and everything, but it was expensive. But this new Studio Display XDR comes in a much cheaper rate at $32.99. So that's $3,300. You're getting a 27-inch 5K Retina XDR display, 5120 by 2880. And it's mini LED with over 2,000 local dimming zones. So let's say you're not working on HDR and you're just using it. It goes up to 1,000 nits. So the same as my MacBook Pro is what you get out of that, which is great. And for peak HDR, it's 2,000 nits. 1,000,000 to 1 contrast ratio. But here's the thing. It has the ProMotion, 120 hertz on it. Me, I'm using a 1440p 165 hertz screen as my main monitor other than the MacBook Pro screen. It has the center stage camera, has the 3 mic studio, quality array, things like that. It's decent. 6-speaker spatial audio system. Use headphones or use speakers. But like I said, great display if you need color accuracy because it's running the P3 wide color gambit and also sRGB, all of that is in there. So for coloring, this is the monitor you want, and it's a first party monitor. And the USB ports or the Thunderbolt ports do provide 140 watts of laptop charging, and also you can daisy chain another one to it. Would I get it? No, because I have my 1440p, which was like 400, and it does the job that I want. What did I think about this whole announcement week? It was great, but there was two things keeping it from being amazing. The first one, which I wanted, was a new Apple TV. Giving us a new M4 Air does nothing. Giving us a new Apple TV does a lot. It hasn't been updated in over 3.5 years. We have new silicone, and the Apple TV is starting to lag a bit during certain stuff, but I am using the beta software, so that might be why. But give us a new Apple TV, Apple. And the one that I wanted to buy if they announced it on pre-order date would have been an M5 Mac Mini. Why? Because the M4 Mac Mini was one of Apple's best sellers. At $600 for a desktop, it ticked all the boxes for just a boring desktop. 16 gig, 256 gig for $600, and you had Thunderbolt. You can run the 4K on it. You can use that as a server. That's why I'm using it for a server. Right now I'm using M2 Mac Mini, and I wanted the M5 version so I can upgrade, then give this to a family member. So that's what I was hoping for, because I've run into issues with the 8 gigs on this with what I needed to do. So I've used swap. So that's why I went to the M5. Especially if they're giving more storage. I don't need it for it, but it'd be nice to have. All in all, like I said, great announcements. Can't wait to see more come out of Apple this year, because with the new chip design they're doing on these M5 processors, we might finally see that M5 Extreme processor. Because here's the thing, if we don't see an M5 Extreme, there might not be another Mac Pro ever again, because we're going Studio. As you can see, if we took away the Pro display, we have a Studio display. The Mac Studio has the M3 Ultra and the M4 Mattes in it. The Mac Pro, which was the top of the line, still costs more than Studio. Starting only goes up to M2 Ultra. So here's fingers crossed that we get an M5 Extreme that's only on the Mac Pro. But that's it for this episode, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.